Okay. John, you're on mute. So, okay. Welcome, everyone. We're almost there at spring. Start the Connecticut Real Estate Appraisal Commission meeting of March 13th, 2024 at 8:31 a.m. First thing on our agenda here today is we must go over the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any edits, corrections, additions, subtractions, and so forth that need to be addressed in the said copy we have before us? So I was not here, so if there is nothing from members of the commission, can I get a motion to accept as presented?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
And a second by Maria. Comments? Hearing none. Ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
nays, abstentions, then we pass on that. Before we go, we're going to go a little bit out of order here. The first thing I think it's more pressing within the state of Connecticut right now, and Debbie, I'm turning this over to you, received a number of phone calls from many different arenas. Where do we stand with the CE? How many were uploaded in by the due date of the end of January, February 1st? Where do we stand today? Give us, me and all of us, an update and where we're at.
Okay, well, total uploaded were 963 out of 1248. February, out of that, there were at least 10% that had difficulty accessing, well, they accessed the link, but it wasn't allowing them to upload anything or even log in, really. It was saying that they didn't have, the email wasn't correct. They couldn't reset a password. Actually, that happened to me. I went in from the outside, and that actually happened to me too. So during that time, I just asked them to send me their CE and I would upload it for them here, which was pretty daunting because it was 530 documents that I uploaded. I don't know that I did by the end of, I don't think I did by the end of January. But 285 are missing. I don't have those numbers, but I can run them for you for the end of January.
I had received a number of calls, so, and again, my apologies to everyone for missing the last meeting, but we ranged from, it was my understanding at the end of January or beginning of February that only 25 to 30% of our appraisers had been able to upload and meet that criteria. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and today at 963, so we're at 77%. Is that
Correct.
what we're? Okay.
Correct.
And was most of this a glitch or bump in the road because
Well,
of the
I know,
technology or on behalf of us at state of Connecticut?
I know roughly 10% of the number that did upload,
Yeah.
they ran into glitches where their account wasn't recognized. And those are the ones that I uploaded for them.
Well, yeah, it sounds like if you uploaded 530, which you just said that you uploaded 50, I'm trying to do math in my head, 55, 56, 57% of all the ones uploaded. My golly, that's, well, thank you, first of all, for doing, going above and beyond. But is the glitch been, or whatever one wants to call it, has it been addressed so others, or that you don't have to keep doing this?
It seems to be intermittent because while 10% had problems, including myself. I mean, I didn't have a problem because I just uploaded from this end for myself, but I went in as the public and tried to access my account, and it said that my email address, to reset my password, my email address wasn't recognized. It wasn't in the system. So, immediately I went and checked, and it was. So, I did notify, my supervisor,
Mm-hmm.
about this problem. Um, but I'm not the IT, I'm not technical.
No, I know, I understand. I'm just trying to get a full set because I don't know if I would assume members, colleagues, other commissioners have received, similar calls, emails, and concerns. Is this something that has also occurred with the brokerage, the salespeople, the plumbers, everybody else with the licensing? Because this rule has come in for all of us at DCP, or are we just the lucky group that's having the most challenges? Do you know?
I wouldn't be able to answer that for the other license divisions. I'm just looking here to see if anybody's on. Oh, Shauna just she just added or joined us
Mm-hmm.
rather. I don't see anybody on here on the list yet that would be able to answer that, but I can find out and let you know.
I was just, are there any questions from members of the commission on this topic? Or any comments? Okay,
I got one, Jerry.
yeah,
So,
please.
Deb, for the remaining, what are we at? 25% or so?
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
quick math, we're a little over 3/4, John, and you're right.
we've
So,
got 285 that are missing.
are missing, in your opinion, do you think there just haven't been heard of yet, or you think there's, I mean, typically we have what, 15, maybe 20 every
Yeah,
cycle that have issues, that's it?
It is my opinion, based on the communications coming in February, that if they had had a problem uploading, they would have emailed me. Um, and I didn't receive emails from these people, so I have a feeling they just are unaware that the CE due date, the change in CD due date was implemented this year.
All right. So that's something
Deb,
we have to figure out.
hey,
how to
Debbie,
handle
can we
it.
send out a letter? Can we send out a letter?
We did. We sent out a reminder letter.
mean,
We sent out a letter.
Okay.
Well, they were notified when the change occurred.
yeah, yeah, I
Right.
understand that.
And then it was put into the Connecticut appraisal law class, the new date. And then a letter was sent out, a reminder letter was sent out,
Okay.
a broadcast reminder on June 16th of last year. And then we just sent, I believe it was June 16th, just say mid-June of last year. And then we sent out another reminder in February, I believe the first week of February, and asked for an upload of, just asked that, reminded them to upload their CE by February 16th, which many people, this was the first they had ever heard of the earlier due date. And we had many people that were in a panic when they got that reminder, saying that, they couldn't possibly meet all those CE hours within, less than a week. So I said, well, I mean, they wanted to update or renew their license. So I said, well, do your CE. You have to do your CE. That's a non-negotiable thing here. But just give it to me before March, like give it to me by the 29th, the certificates. So we had some people that did that, and they got them earlier, obviously, than the 29th.
Because I also saw a notice come out, I think it was a day or two after our last commission meeting, too, an email. But Honoris, are you asking that we actually send a physical letter as opposed to the email?
No, email's fine with me. I mean,
Because you have to put your email up on when you renew. I just renewed the license. I paid for it. I haven't gotten it yet. But you have to, it's tied to your email, so there should be no mistakes on email, correct, Deb?
Well, no, but I mean, it's not up to us to update their email. I mean, if you think about it, you're going to send an email out to 1,248 individuals to ask them if their email is updated. But if it's not updated, they're not going to get that email. And we don't send paper anything because it's just too costly. When we went over to
Yeah.
all electronic, we saved the state, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we've known this was coming for about over 3 years because there was the discussion in this commission a little over 3 years ago when the state legislature put this through that we didn't implement it the last cycle. It was to be this cycle. So the warning signs were going out at that time in CE classes and so forth. I know the Connecticut Chapter Appraisal Institute and other ones were letting folks know that, this was coming up. So it is what it is. So we're at 77. So as I understand right now, we're at 77% or thereabouts of people who have been able to upload everything as of yesterday or this week at some point, wherever that number is
Yes,
at.
one way or the other, either themselves
Okay.
or with my assistance. Yep.
Okay. Well, again, a big thank you for putting in well over half of the uploads. There's something, there's a glitch somewhere that it's got to be ironed out because um, thank you for your time, our first time through, but boy, holy smokes. Any other questions by members of the commission on this topic?
I just have one comment that it's taught in the law classes. So everybody should, if you go to the law class, you shouldn't be aware. Now, if they didn't take the law class, that's one thing. But if they took the law class, everybody's taught that. Do you go there to listen and learn, or do you just go there to get your credits? I don't know.
I hear you. And it's been 2 law classes, Sean. It was what I was trying to say
Right.
because
Right.
we've gone through this cycle.
So it should not
Any
be a surprise. It should not
Yeah.
be a surprise to anybody, really.
any other members of the commission, staff, to the
Well,
public? Any comment? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut someone off. Go ahead.
No, that's me, John, but I don't recall us adding it to our law module until this section, this cycle. So we weren't teaching this in our previous law module. We're only teaching it in the current law module. So if they weren't waiting to take the current law module between, this spring before April, they would not have been able to notify, know about this, and if they're not reading their emails. So I can understand why people are going to be, there may be some lingering, but I'm just kind of shocked that it's still, that's this many.
Yeah, John, you make a good point, but I will say this. When I went through it here, Jackie was and I happened to take it through the Connecticut chapter. They made a very big point, not this cycle, but the cycle before. This is coming, so maybe not all, I get it, but I know I heard it, you know what I mean, taking it. So, okay. Any other comment? John, are you done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're
Yeah,
good?
I'm done. I'm set. So thank you.
Okay. Any comments from the public? All right, then.
Yes, if I may. Hello?
Yes. Who is speaking?
Yes. Yes, my name is Peter Kuznetsov. I am General Certified Appraiser. And just to that point of the differences in the rules, I was the one, as Debbie mentioned, I was the one of those appraisers who learned about the change in February from the email. And me and a couple of my colleagues were also surprised. Now, I took the law class then, and that's where I learned about the new due date, which was extended by Debbie's email, was extended till the end of February.
Well, the due date,
the
the due date wasn't extended. It was getting the CE certificates to me. That's what I extended.
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. Yes. Sorry about that. Yes. The date for uploading. Now, and another change of the rule was that you wouldn't accept hours, the remaining hours from the home state, which is an issue for me and a couple of my colleagues as well. We took a conference organized by New Jersey Appraisal Institute in May of last year. That was 7 hours, because before Connecticut would accept the remaining hours from home states, and apparently it's changed now. So although I was able to upload all the hours, all the CE certificates by the end of February, 7 of my hours are from the home state according to the old rule, and new rule was not known to me until February. So this is one of the, I think, items on the agenda today, maybe to give an exception this cycle, so people don't have to take more classes now to qualify for renewal.
Sir, are you on, you're on the agenda later here this morning?
Yes.
I think
Okay,
Debbie mentioned that I
yeah,
was.
then we will pick this matter up for you when we come to that on the agenda, okay? And we can get into further
Okay.
detail. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Very good. Thank you, folks. And we will be going through some individual things, but thank you. Okay, getting through the agenda, Debbie has asked that we put Mr. Andrew Alberstein because of some commitments to go first. So Debbie, could you please give us the background, and therefore we will address Mr. Alberstein's item on the agenda. Please, Debbie, the floor is yours.
Okay. So Mr. Alperstein had applied to for a reciprocal license with Connecticut. And when he lives in Massachusetts. So when I did my research to see if he was in good standing with the I'm not the Appraisal Institute, with the ASC, I saw that his name wasn't on the list. So his initial license was in Wisconsin, but he only received it the day before he applied to Connecticut. So I had contacted Wisconsin and they gave me some information, and based on that information, I contacted Mr. Alperstein and asked him to give us some samplings of reports to review, which I forwarded to the commissioners. And he has been on our agenda for quite a few months now. Either he can't make it here last minute, or the commission has tabled it based on time. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Mr. Alberstein, for the record, could you please give your name and spelling of your last name and your address of employment?
Andrew Alperstein, the spelling is A-L-P as in Peter, E-R-S-T-E-I-N. Were you looking for home address or work address?
Work address would be fine, sir.
So I'm with PricewaterhouseCoopers at 101 Seaport Boulevard in Boston, 02110.
Very good. Okay. What would you like to say, Mr. Alberstein? So, you know, what's the situation here?
Well, as a firm and as a practice, we're being looked to do more valuation related services. There's increasing focus from our clients in the marketplace around valuation. As a practice, a real estate valuation practice, we're looking to continue to invest in our people around their credentials, both from a regulatory perspective, but as well as having the appropriate education and certifications. I'm one of the people in the practice that has been investing in those credentials. And given my location in Massachusetts, am pursuing licenses in the region. Apologies for not making the previous meeting. I think it was I had a conflict from a travel perspective, so I apologize for missing that meeting, but I think that's the only one that I was invited to so far. So happy to respond to any other questions. I will share that the majority of the work that we do is, as you would imagine, financial reporting related or tax reporting related. And as I said at the outset, we're seeing an increased focus from our clients and needs around valuation credentials and valuation expertise. And so as a firm and as a practice, we feel like it's important to invest in our credentials. So that it's that's the background.
Okay, Mr. Alberstein, let me ask two quick questions so I get a level set. Are you looking, what license do you hold right now? Are you a certified general, certified residential, provisional?
Certified-
What license are you?
Certified general.
Okay, you're certified general. What states do you have licenses in, either that you've gained or received reciprocal at this point in time? How many?
Massachusetts, 2.
Okay, Massachusetts and Wisconsin?
And Wisconsin, correct.
Okay, all right. I open up for members of the commission. Questions that you have for Mr. Alberstein here? Hearing
Hi,
none?
Mr. I got
Okay.
a couple. Mr. Robinson, Jerry, you want us to ask about experience credits or experience now or anything like that, or just you wanna hold?
Whatever, John. It's open, just trying to, this has been sitting for quite some time, so trying to play catch up. So go ahead.
So, Mr. Robinson, thank you for coming. I went through your reports, the 4 samples that were submitted. I see all your coursework, everything else. I understand you've been, Wisconsin, and I understand Massachusetts. But my concern is, our job in the commission is to make sure that people are, can go out and do the work. And so we ask for these samples to show us that they can understand, appraisal methodology and comply with use path, et cetera. And the 4 reports that I received, I went through, are sufficient, obviously, for your format, for your business requirements, et cetera. But they don't really show me as a reader how you actually, came up with the value, a complete sales comparison approach, a cost approach, and an income approach, et cetera. I'm not saying you're not confident to do that stuff. I'm just saying that the reports that we have to make this decision by don't show that. So that's a huge concern for me, is I just don't have that trust level that you are, you have the experience and then you can actually do this. I mean, financial reporting is one thing. I worked in a bank and a credit analyst and everything else for so I understand that part of it. But just and I also, I guess I'm coming from the perspective where, I understood appraisal theory at that point in time and thought I was an appraiser at that time. This is going back many years, but until I actually started doing the actual appraisal work, so do you have samples that you can send us of actual appraisals that you did where you developed the cost approach, or if, in these cases, in your work file for these reports, does it, can you provide us documentation that shows how you came up with that value, those
Yes,
values?
I'd be happy to share that with you, Mr. Galvin.
Okay, so I don't want to make a decision yet, Jerry, until I see that and can understand that he understands, appraisal methodology, et cetera.
Okay. Other questions? John, any other points?
No,
or-
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Any other thoughts from members of the commission? Hearing none? Okay.
I
Mr.
have a
Alberstein, yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry. I have a question. I was looking for your provisional license in Wisconsin. Did you have a provisional license, and did you have a sponsor when you were doing your experience hours for there?
I don't believe that was required in Wisconsin,
So
but I
they just
can
let you take the test?
Well, you have to apply with all the appropriate experience levels, all the coursework, as well as background checks and other information.
Mhm.
But that, I followed whatever their requirements were.
Okay, and that was, I believe you gave me the experience log that you used for Wisconsin.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I believe you said. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Albertson, you're just looking for a reciprocal license and you were granted a license by the state of Wisconsin. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
And they went through your experience credits and they went through your education and they meet the audits by the ASC like this state has just went through.
I believe so. They did. I did submit certain reports and did submit all the required information that they requested. So yes, I believe so, but I don't get to see their full process.
Right. Okay. So the state of Wisconsin granted you a license and you met the rules and regulations as put forth that met the standards from the ASC and all the federal regulatory, just like the state of Connecticut.
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. And you received your Massachusetts license through reciprocal, or did you go through a separate application process?
Through reciprocal.
Okay. Here's my question to other members of the commission. Do we want people from Connecticut who've gone through our process and say they apply for a reciprocal license in New York, then to be denied, or then they have to go through the same hoops in New York, even though they've gone and met the regulations here in the state of Connecticut, which is under the same supervision of the ASC? That's a question to my fellow members of the commission.
Jerry, when this process started, it started because Debbie was having, if the way I heard it was Debbie was having trouble confirming some things. And I think the red flag that I heard for me was that he had just received his Wisconsin license and was applying for reciprocity in one day. Now, I didn't, I thought he was applying in this whole process, a license in the state, not just, he's not applying for a temporary license, he's applying for a permanent license. So when I saw that he came from what do you guys call yourself now? Pricewater. I didn't think there was any problem with him, his competency. My concern was in reviewing the reports, if the examiners show up and read these, they're also not going to come to the comfort level too that demonstrated. So my concern was basically we're making a decision on full faith of what another commission did in another state. I can understand what you're saying about, do we want our Connecticut people to be, shot down in other states too? But he has provided information that we requested, which other states would be requesting of Connecticut appraisers too. It's just that I'm at this dilemma where do I just accept this as good faith or do I, request additional documentation? That's all.
Okay. Any other members of the commission comments? Because I have a very strong comment to yours, John, in a moment here. I have 50 licenses around the country. I have never been asked or challenged of showing other experience credits and so forth on any form, shape, or manner. And if we start this, do we open up a Pandora's box with all other states in the country? Because they are all under the guidance of the ASC. They do the audit. If they say it's good enough in Massachusetts or Wisconsin or wherever, why are we making someone go through these other hoops when it's already been satisfied in another state, in another jurisdiction? That's my fundamental question.
My answer to that, Jerry, is that Debbie brought this to us
Yes.
because she, as an examiner, and we have faith in her, saw that there was it was a little bit different, some inconsistencies, everything. Typically, this wouldn't be coming before us, correct?
That's right, but every state runs their systems different. He followed the rules of the state of Wisconsin. Okay, the state of Wisconsin granted him a license. The state of Wisconsin must and go through their audit every 2 years with the ASC as well. They have not been penalized or put on probation or anything. So he has followed the rules and regulations and have obtained a license. Then, and even though we have different provisions, we go through the provisional step and so forth. Every state has a little different nuances of how they do it. But at the end of the day, he had to go through the interview, he had to show experience, he had to show the education and so forth, and they granted him a license. So that's I'm having a fundamental problem here on that premise. Other members of the commission, feel free. You know,
I think I brought that up when we started discussing this, basically, that, you know, if they've been approved somewhere else, why would we not allow it? I mean, like you say, if any of us could go to another state and get a reciprocal license.
Okay.
I just have an issue with that.
Okay. So here we're at. How do we want to resolve this? John, you want to make a motion for him to put in more stuff or whatever you were suggesting, or Sean, does anyone want to make a motion in any form, shape, or another so we can try to move this along?
Well, I hear your point, Jerry. I do hear your point. But in this particular case, it was brought up kind of as a red flag. So and then the first meeting, we weren't sure what to do. We went back to get additional stuff, et cetera. Then the next one, there was an issue of not showing, and we had other issues we were dealing with too, and now we're here.
Yep.
And so I hear what you're saying. But because because it now is in front of us and I'm looking at this work, I'm saying, do I treat this differently than everybody else just because he's been certified? No disrespect, Andrew, but my concern is that are we supposed to be consistent, you know? And I just trying to be consistent from, you know, one appraiser to the next that comes up before us in terms of providing samples that we are to review. So in this case, I have these samples in front of me that if they were presented by anybody else in our state coming in for experience credits or anything like that, we would have the same issues that I have right now. And we have. So I guess, you know, in light of what you're saying, if we're setting a trend, okay, I don't want to make a motion. I'll let somebody else make the motion. But I would just, you know, if you want to approve him today and contingent on him sending just one support for one of these reports, that's fine. So we have it on records, and then he says he has it, then that's fine. If you know, if you don't feel like that's right, then that's fine too.
So I guess I would respond by saying, really, we should be giving him a license. And if like any licensed appraiser, if they have some kind of issue with their work, we would be able to discuss that as a licensed, you know, a certified appraiser in our state. That doesn't, if you think there's some issue with the work, we should be addressing that as that, not should he get a license or not get a license.
Okay, should we back up a second and ask, should this, you know, I understand Debbie's doing her job and she saw it and she brought it before us, but should we just be voting on, instead of approving him, should we be asking ourselves, should this be in front of us or not?
Well, I agree with that. It shouldn't be in front of us, I would think. I understand Debbie's concern. And
Any other, Maria, Jennifer, Norris, any comments, thoughts? I guess not. Here we're at, John, to what you're saying, to be consistent, you're correct, but we are typically looking at folks who do not have a license or are trying to obtain a license on your consistency point. I'm 100% with you there. Here we have a case, someone has already been granted a license. I think it's a different component here. And I can say if we went through another hurdle here with Mr. Alberstein, then we're maybe being inconsistent from all the other people we've granted a reciprocal license to from the other 49 states and District of Columbia and wherever they may be coming from. So it's a slippery slope. I really believe we're heading down a very slippery potential here. And if it's been good enough for, in this particular case, Wisconsin, and they are in good standing with, Wisconsin is in good standing with the ASC, I believe that we should just give him the reciprocal license. That's my opinion here.
So can we make can I make a motion then that we have, instead of even going as far as reviewing all his work, that as a commission, we have concluded that since he was approved in Wisconsin and has already received a reciprocal license in Massachusetts, that he falls under the same condition as anybody else and does not have to go through any further review with the commission and therefore be granted a reciprocal license?
It sounds like a motion to me. Can I get a second? Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Jennifer seconds. Discussion among members of the commission. Hearing none. Discussion from members of staff.
I'm just curious, Andrew, what made you, since you are located in Massachusetts, what made you choose Wisconsin as your first license?
Well, a couple of reasons. I did used to live in Chicago for a period of time, so I was in the Midwest and started some of the appraisal courses back then. I also have a number of clients in the Midwest area. And so when I factored those in, those were some of the factors that were considered. As you noted, they do not require the kind of sponsorship that you had mentioned. So, but it was primarily because of some of the client focus and being proximity-wise, having lived there early in my career.
Okay. So they do not require that you work as under a sponsor's supervision. Did I hear that correct?
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that is, and Debbie, that is a factual thing when I checked with our company, for the folks who have Wisconsin licenses. Okay. It's one of those darn things up there. So, any other from staff or public or members of the commission comments? Hearing none, we have a motion, we have a second. I'll call the vote here. Ayes as to the motion on the floor.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Motion passes. Okay.
Andrew, I'll get that approved and out to you today.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alberstein. I'm sorry, I know you just missed your meeting, but thank you for your patience.
No problem. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, under old business, we had a discussion, qualifications and approval process for course instructors tabled from February. What do we have here?
I believe it was just a further discussion from December when we met together in person.
Okay,
The commission wanted to discuss the qualifications. Do we want to have resumes for every single instructor that's going to be teaching a course other than USPAP, because we know they have to have their separate approval? And is this something that you want to put on the agenda with the courses each month?
okay.
So it was tabled, I believe it was tabled from January, then put on February's agenda, and then
Tabled over
tabled
to
again.
today.
Mhm.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Floor is open to members of the commission on this.
So this evolved because we had a couple of those courses coming through that were being taught by somebody who was not an appraiser. And the concern was, well, what happens if appraisal questions come up? Who answers them? So when we talked about that, and my concern, what I'm kind of leaning towards is that they do provide the bio of the instructor, and that also if that instructor is not a certified appraiser in any state or licensed whatever in any state, that they do have somebody you know in the class who can answer appraisal oriented questions. So I think it also opens up and allows the flexibility of some of these educational facilities, not just for coursework, but for seminars, to provide other topics and have other experts come in. For instance, I can remember going to a class where a couple of commercial contractors who built industrial and commercial buildings came in and spoke for a couple hours, but there was somebody there who was answering questions on appraisal because a number of appraisal questions came up, and how do you handle this? Does it matter? Does it impact value, marketability, things like that? So my concern is that I think we should be requiring this. Most classes, Debbie, am I correct, do submit the bio of the instructor.
Yes.
We get that.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. John, I thought that was just part of the packet, to be quite honest with you, that we got those, the instructor bio. I guess maybe we don't. So, it's I
Well,
guess
you get
something I
them.
just assumed,
You get them on the course applications that are coming in that are non-AQB approved,
Okay.
but you don't get all the courses, all the materials. I don't send you all the materials for those that are AQB approved.
And
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
I think what I'm
With all the
what I'm
stuff you
talking
send
about
me.
is not just the bio for each class of the instructor, but if the instructor is not an appraiser, that they also provide a bio of the appraiser that's going to be sort of on call to answer appraisal questions during that course or seminar or whatever it may be.
John, I'm just trying to think so I understand. So like you gave the example, you took a course with builders or something you were just saying. And say there were two instructors or one instructor, but they don't have a appraisal background. Are we, I guess it's a Jerry thing here. Maybe I missed something. You're asking for having an appraiser somehow involved in that course, or
Yeah, just in
that's where I'm
case
missing the boat.
just in case a question comes up. I mean, we don't have to make a decision on this today. We can think about it a little bit longer. But I remember the first this is over 10 years ago when I came to a meeting, Chris was rattling off a course that I think it was called Water Everywhere.
Yep.
And it was, if I recall, it was about bringing in professionals to discuss, water leaching in through basements and things like that, and how to waterproof and stuff like that. Now, you say, okay, it's just a fundamental class, but if there's someone in the class who starts asking appraisal questions, I'm sure other people in the class who are taking it can answer the questions, but I think it should be somebody formally so that we're just staying consistent from class to class. And I think it gives the different groups a little more flexibility in bringing in special purpose topics to just say it could be whatever it may be. I mean, if it's the Rural Farmers Associate, their local chapter, they can bring in farmers to discuss different soil types or whatever, and then in return have the one person overseeing it to answer appraisal questions and discussing value things. So I think that's where I'm kind of leaning towards this, and it evolved from those two classes, which looked very thorough, but there was nothing in there discussing. There was nobody there to answer any appraisal questions who was who experienced appraiser.
Okay. Comments or thoughts by other members of the commission?
Jackie has her hand up.
What's that, Shawnee? You broke up. I'm sorry.
I said Jackie has her hand up. You didn't say
Okay.
Commissioner.
Well, yep, Commissioner. Ms. Buchanan, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Commissioner Rasmussen, fellow members. A question for you. You're talking about only non-AQB approved programs. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Or is it for
That's a
every
good question.
submission?
I think we're all set on AQB stuff, aren't we, Deb? I mean,
But
If
I
they're an
guess,
A-
John, is your question or what you're bringing to us, wouldn't that still be, you have an AQB class that's been approved? No appraisers on the panel. The same type of thing could happen. There must be an AQB class doesn't have an appraiser on it. Deb, would you know that? Has there ever been an AQB class approved without a certified appraiser on the panel?
Off the top of my head, I can say I do not know.
Yeah,
I do
probably.
know that, it's been taking a little longer going through these course materials now, because I am, combing through the resumes of the AQB. So my thought was that if the AQB approved the course, they have to have the instructor material, the instructor bios. I could be wrong on that, though. All I'm saying, though, is since I've been here, the only bios that you guys have received that I've forwarded to you are for the non-AQB approved courses.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I
So
can
guess
forward. Oh, sorry,
No,
Jackie.
no, go ahead, Debbie, go ahead, and then I have another comment. Thank you.
I was going to say that if you would prefer, I can send you all the course materials with bios for both AQB and non-AQB approved.
well, we already kind of, long time ago, decided that anything was AQB. I mean, when Linda Sepso was here, she would review it, but just to make sure, we had one person just checking them, but then we got short-staffed. So, but I kind of believe that we've already, in the back of my head, that we've already looked at that and
Yeah.
I mean, look at the classes, just look at the classes today. They have to be taught by, a use PAP instructor, valuation of residence solar, use PAP residential report writing. These are all classes that have to be taught by an appraiser. But when you get down and the two non-AQB today classes that were coming for us are fine, and they're being taught by appraisers. She said every now and then we get something in, and which we've had, and the question is it, who's answering the questions? And I mean, we can just let this go if you want, and just kind of as a general rule that the next time a class comes through, we don't see an instructor, we asked for it. I mean,
So
I'm
John,
not trying to make a
before
mountain
Linda-
out of this. I'm just like, I just don't think we should have people teaching classes who are not, appraisers.
So there is a
John,
course.
before Linda did that, I actually did that for 3 years. So I looked at all those classes all the time, including AQB back then, which was a lot of work, as you can imagine.
Mm.
And I really never saw one not
Yeah.
have the appraiser. But I would think the best way to go is just the way we've been going. And then if we see a particular class that needs, we're not comfortable with the way it is, we can ask for more information or say you need in this class an appraiser. Otherwise, we won't approve it or something like that. But I don't think we need to change our procedure at the moment. At least that's my.
That's fine. I was just throwing this out there because I didn't want open us up to some, not liability, but something that why are we picking on this one particular school or this one thing and not everybody else? So, I guess what I'm looking at is I don't think the AQB classes are an issue. I think it's the non-AQB stuff that comes up. And I think, I would like to see us as a general policy of the commission that any non-AQB that comes up that it has to have somebody, a bio attached with it, with somebody who's there to answer appraisal questions.
John, you bring up I'm sorry. Maria, Jen, Jennifer, Norris, comments, questions, statements? Okay. John, my opinion here is you're making me think about different things. And Shauna, why don't we pick this up? I want to think through some things. Some points have been just made that I hadn't thought of before, to be candid with you. Okay. And why don't we just try to wrap this up next month? I just want to think it through instead of making a flip decision. Would that be okay with everyone here?
Yep.
Okay.
With
All
me,
right.
I think, Mr. Chairman, you're correct. They both said some interesting things, and John, especially you did. And let's figure this out next month.
I want to mull this over. Thank you.
Shauna, you good? You good, Shauna?
Yeah, I'm good, but I will not be at the next meeting, just so you know.
Okay. Very good. Number 2 on our old business, Fred Harrington, RCG 274, submitted waiver / extension requested to the Real Estate Appraisal Commission. Debbie had forwarded us and I printed it out, a continuing education hardship waiver extension request or a form. And Debbie, is this something that you would put together? Because I don't ever recall seeing this, but this was pretty good, to be candid with you. Okay.
No, I didn't. It was online someplace.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm still
thank you.
discovering some of the things that are online that I had
Well,
no idea.
I didn't recall seeing this much over the years, so this is pretty well done here. And I see that Mr. Harrington, excuse me. Hello, Mr. Harrington. You can take yourself off mute.
Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, could you please give your name, spelling of your last name, and your address of where your business address is, please?
Frederick J. Harrington, Harrington, and I work out of a home office, 35 Oak Ridge Road, Burlington, Connecticut, 06013.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for putting forth your application, for lack of a better word here, your request for an extension here. Has everyone read this? But we're going to also, you have the floor, Mr. Harrington, to give a brief explanation of the situation and why we're here today. Go ahead.
Well, basically, I really had no idea that they moved up the date for the deadline for the education. And when I called, I use McKissick Learning a lot for my continuing ed classes. And I called them to set up some classes, probably, I don't know, mid to late, so probably the second half of January sometime. And the person I was speaking to told me about the change in the deadline. And if that person didn't tell me, I would have went and scheduled them, to have it done by the end of April as usual. I just had no idea that that they had changed the date. So, and then I thought there was an extension letter that went out. I spoke with Debbie and it extended it, I thought, till the end of February. And I rescheduled the classes that I took to have it done by the end of February. But one of the classes was on the very last day of February. And sometimes you get the certificate right when you finish the online class. And in this case, it didn't come for another day or two. So I couldn't upload them till the classes were all taken and passed by the end of February, but I didn't have the certificates uploaded until the following day, or maybe it was one day after that, because I just didn't have the last certificate that I needed for that last class.
Okay.
I mean, I've been an appraiser since 1979 in Connecticut. I've never had any issues like this before. I just wasn't aware of it. And it was when I found out of the date change, it was really hard to scramble and change everything around to get everything done within, you know, that short of a period of time. Because I didn't take any, usually I take a few like the year before. This year I just unfortunately hadn't taken any classes till right up till the end. I took them all at once.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by members of the commission for Mr. Harrington? Mr. Harrington, and I'll ask this to Debbie as well. Have you completed all your CE now, and have they been forwarded or uploaded, or to Debbie who uploads it, or whatever the case is right now with what we're learning here with the CE?
Yes, I believe you have everything, and I think Debbie confirmed to me in an email that she's received everything.
Yes, I'm just checking, double checking my list.
Okay,
Yes, he's on the list here. He's uploaded, or his certificates have been uploaded.
part of the 530 that you've done, Deb. So again, we can't say thank you enough. That's above and beyond the call of duty, in my opinion. Members of the commission, any thoughts? What do you, where do you want to take this?
I'm sure we're gonna have other people like this. And, you know, for everybody that did it, I don't know. My first thought is, can we just do a letter of caution? It doesn't get reported anywhere, but at least it puts it on record that somebody did something for this cycle. It shouldn't affect them, but at least in the future, if for some reason something goes wrong, we'll know that they were one of those people. That's my best suggestion.
Okay. Any other comments or suggestions or thoughts among members of the commission?
Well, I guess I'm, I think Mr. Harrington and the other gentleman who's coming up before us, is it Monk? I think, these people found out about it and went and did it right away. Now, in the past, when we did that audit before COVID, if you remember, there were people who did not take classes, and
Yep.
we had fines in place and stuff like that. And then they had to take the classes before they came for the commission. I don't think I think this is just a different situation than that. But I think that instead of having every single one of these people come before us, I'm wondering if we should just back up and make a a decision that, okay, because of we found out this glitch in the system, it really is a glitch in the system. Somehow people aren't getting the emails and reading the emails. I know it's their responsibility, but maybe we, make just a suggestion here, don't get excited, that we approve everybody, that Debbie can approve everybody up through like maybe March 30th or something like that. And then after that, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out. I mean, it's so close to the April 30th deadline that I think everybody else is going to be, who's finding out about it now, is going to be coming for. I mean, Shauna brings up a good point, but I don't know. I guess, Shauna, my question to you is, you're saying that we bring this caution letter so that if another issue comes up.
Yeah, I mean, everybody should, these are all professionals. They should understand the responsibilities of their professions, which means getting these licenses done on time. It's not like we haven't preached this before. It's gone out many times. It's not just one time. Obviously, it's taught in the law class. I don't know if it was taught in the one previous. You said you don't think so. I remember us discussing it. I don't know if it actually got into the classes at that time, but we're all professionals. You have to take that seriously. And just to say, I didn't know about it. I'm not looking to get any fines or anything like that, but I think at the same time, they admittedly said that they didn't take these classes to after January. It's different than I couldn't get them uploaded or something like that. The issue of trying to get it uploaded is a different issue that we have. They took the classes, but they couldn't get them uploaded. That might be a different thing. I don't know. It's just my suggestion. It'd be interesting to see what other people think.
Can I say something?
Mr. Harrington, hang on a moment, please. We'll come
Yeah.
back to you. I
Okay,
want the other members of the commission to weigh in at this moment, please, okay?
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Jerry, I would really like to hear from Maria, Norris, Jennifer on this too, and also Vicky, if they have any input, and Debbie too, because I think we need to talk this out a little bit before we drag everybody through one thing at a time, because I think we can
We're
come
with
up
you.
with a solution.
Yep. So, other members of the commission, like we just said, Maria, Jen,
I would say, from what I know I'm a fairly new member, but from what you're telling me, it sounds like this was something that was put out quite a bit, or at least attempted to, the information was out there for quite a bit. I do think there's a difference between the people that were legitimately done and trying to upload their documents and had an issue doing that. That is definitely a glitch in the software, which is an entirely different scenario than somebody that might not have been aware of the change in the deadline.
okay. Maria, Norris,
Well, I want to piggyback a little bit on what Shauna said, but, individuals get notifications that this has to be done way ahead of time. I know for me, I also have a lot of certification that I have to maintain it, and notification goes out way ahead of time. So I'm not sure where was the disconnect, that, the gentleman didn't receive that information up top.
thank you. Norris, you're on mute. No comment? Okay. Um,
Does
my
Vicky have
thoughts,
any input?
go ahead, Vicky.
Well, I mean, I'm listening and I can see it from both perspectives, but percentage wise, the percentages are high in terms of, I'll just say non-compliance for lack of a better word right now. So I think that's twofold. I think a part of it is, I just say the state, if you will, have we been effective in getting the message out? And I do understand that Jerry had indicated that he had taken the course, the older course, and that previously it was mentioned. So we have tried to get the word out, and maybe we're not being as successful as we would like to be. But notwithstanding that, the majority of the people now seem to have complied or come into compliance, and there's some, uh, I say laggards out there. I do think that because this is our first time at trying to implement this, I don't think that there should be I'll say punitive measure associated with it.
Okay. Debbie, your thoughts?
Yes, my thoughts are the same as Vicky in that I don't think that there should be a fine, but I do believe that there should be a letter of caution, because a letter of caution does not get reported to the ASC National Registry. Nobody knows it except us and the appraiser. But a letter of caution is a little stronger reminder that, the beginning of the cycle or even midway through the cycle, that these appraisers need to check and see if there are requirements that, changed, or maybe they were new and they forgot about it. Because being an appraiser myself, I know, like, you're busy all year, you're busy 2 years, and then you're scrambling to get the courses done, and sometimes you put them off until the very last minute. And so I understand that, but I think if there isn't something like a letter of caution that has no effect on their business, but at least it's a record to us that, all right, this happened before, and we, gave them, grace and didn't fine them when we're within our rights to fine them. And it would document if there was going to be a pattern going forward. That's my comment.
Okay. Any other, Mr. Harrington, you wanted to say something?
Somebody's hand is
Yeah.
raised also.
Yeah,
I'm looking here. It was Debbie's. And I don't see another hand up.
So
Maybe
can
No,
I
that
missed.
was me.
Okay.
Okay, I can speak?
Yes, Mr. Harrington.
Okay, yeah, I just want to point out, so I'm also a realtor, and they've changed all their rules, and I was totally aware of that. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I get emails and a lot of stuff from them. They send out videos and stuff, and I was totally aware of those changes. I read all my emails, and it seems like something this significant. It's really, I mean, I know I made the mistake. It's my fault, and I take responsibility for that. But at the same time, it was a major hardship for me to have to squeeze all the classes in within like a 3-week period. And I mean, I just think something this significant, a letter should go out in the mail. I don't think, I don't know. They rely on emails all the time, but, you know, I don't recall seeing any emails that were sent to me other than that last one that Debbie sent out. And I didn't even see that one for some reason. Maybe it's the way the email looked. I thought it was junk mail or something. Sometimes that happens, but I'm, I keep on top of this stuff. I'm not a slacker. And I feel like, and then I heard, it sounded like you said 285 people still haven't sent in their continuing ed. Did I hear that correct?
Yes.
So I just think, there's going to be a lot more people in the same boat as me.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know. That's
Jerry,
just
can
my
I ask a
opinion.
question to Fred?
Please.
Yeah.
Fred, you've been listening to what we all said. Do you have a recommendation how we handle this?
I think I just think a physical letter in the mail, and this would have never happened. Because I think the
I know,
email.
not
Yeah.
hindsight. I'm talking about going forward here with this situation now.
Oh, with other people now that may.
You and other
Um,
people.
Well, and they mentioned too the law class. Now I took the law class last cycle. I don't remember anything being said about it. And the law class this time around, I hadn't taken it yet. I was calling, I just took it. So.
I mean, do you have any suggestion, because how we handle you is how we're gonna have to set a precedent handling
Yeah,
everybody. So,
yeah.
and it's 200 something people. So, do you have a problem with getting a letter? It's a letter of caution?
No, no. I mean, it's just something. It doesn't go on the record, right? I mean, yeah. No, I don't have a problem. But in other words,
Okay.
the letter would be in case this were to happen again. Then,
Yes.
yeah,
It doesn't get, a letter of caution doesn't get reported to the National Registry.
yeah.
So anybody checking the registry for your credential, it wouldn't show up.
Do people ever ask? Is that something like on any type of application or anything? When people say, did you ever receive a letter of caution? I mean, it's nothing I
I
would
don't
have to
know.
mention.
I haven't, who knows? We
Yeah.
don't
A
know
letter of
what else.
a letter of caution is not considered discipline.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't really care. I just but yet I don't feel like I did anything wrong. So I'm getting a letter of caution, even though, but whatever happens, happens.
Okay.
You know,
I do want to this is Jason Cohen. I just need to clarify something.
yeah,
As Debbie said, it doesn't get reported to the National Register, but anything that is in the state system is public record. It is available under Freedom of Information. It's nothing we
yeah,
proactively put out, but anything in the
yeah,
system is FOIable.
yeah. Well, I mean, I would rather not have it, obviously. I mean, I've been doing this for what, 40 plus years. So, I've never had an issue. So I'd rather not have it, but, you know,
Okay.
I want to
Thank
be
you.
able to renew my license. So I guess it's up to you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
Okay.
Any other comments from folks?
Yeah, I just got
I've-
a quick question. I'm sorry to drag
Yeah.
this out, but no, not for Fred, for
Oh.
Debbie and Vicky. This caution letter that goes out, does it specifically state what happened? Or is it just so that, anybody could read it and say, oh, it was just an educational thing?
Yes.
So we can
Mhm.
put
Yes.
something in there.
Yes, the distinction is made, and then I will say it is, as Jason Cohen had indicated, it is subject to disclosure, but generally what happens is when a request is made, they ask for any any disciplinary actions, and this would not be considered a disciplinary action, so it's not generally released in that regard, because that's the way that the question generally comes in response to the question, has there been any disciplinary action against, John Smith? The answer would be no, there is no disciplinary action because the letter of caution is not considered disciplinary. And I was one of the Freedom of Information officers, if you will, and that's how that is responded to.
Yeah,
So if we word this caution letter that anybody can read it and say, oh, it was just that and let it go, we can do that. But then the next question is, if we're going to give vote and give Mr. Harrington a letter, do we just send this letter of caution now out to everybody else who hasn't submitted stuff? And then that's a separate issue, but I think we need to address that too.
Well, they may not even renew.
Yeah,
That is true. I know one individual who found out about it and called me. He's 75 and he just said he's letting it go.
yeah,
Yeah.
Can I say something else?
Mr. Harrington, please, could you put yourself on mute, please,
Oh,
now?
okay, sure. Yeah.
Thank you. We have another angle to look at here, and it kind of goes down where Sean is going. Depending on what number we're looking at, 312 to 412 people did do this on time. We have 963 people who have submitted their forms in one shape, form, or another and have gotten it up in line. They have followed the rules. They have made the commitment. For whatever reason, they were known about it. I do know for a fact, Jackie's right in here, had made sure everyone who taught the use path, not this cycle, because John, you're right, it was put in the law this time, and it may not have been in the law before, but it was brought up. We went to the schools when Linda was here, and they were all informed that this was coming, that we're teaching classes in the state. So we do have a balance that it was out in the marketplace for the last at least 3 years. We did not and could have implemented it last cycle, but did not for the 2022 to give everyone a runway here, so everyone was well aware of it here. So if we give a blanket to everybody, what does that say to the people who followed the rules? The 400 plus or minus people who did do it on time, who did overcome the glitches, and then Debbie helping another 500 people to get to the 963. So that's on the other side of the fence here. On top of that, we do have the issue that for whatever reasons, the technology or whatever has been an absolute bump in the road. I'm trying to be polite here. So, we're trying to thread the needle here and what have you. I think it's got to be looked at on a per case basis. And I do believe, and I agree with Shauna, that we do have what do you call it, Shauna? A letter of caution. There's got to be something in there to be on balance for everyone. For Mr. Harrington, he's not going to be thwarted or hurt from making his living and so forth, and those type of folks. But it may have been John who brought it up a little bit later, or someone, and I don't mean to discount whoever brought, I thought, a fair point. What happens to the people that now all of a sudden we get it on April 10th, May 10th? And so forth. We got to be careful that we don't give a blanket that just absolves everybody from this whole situation, because we'll have those folks every cycle. We've had 10 to 20 folks that we've had to deal with, and that's the point I just want to make sure that we take into our consideration right here.
Well, one of the things I was going to suggest, I've been thinking about this, is that anybody, just to clear this off the table, that anybody who submits anything after April 30th is subject to the typical fines, definitely. So I just think that's my opinion. I think we should, I know we could say, we could change that to March 30th. We could do whatever, but an option would be that we don't really send anything else out to them. Maybe we send another email out to them as a reminder that, you know, you can still submit it. You will receive a letter of caution or something. We could decide that. And up until April 30th, but if you don't take them after April 30th, you'll be fined. Something like that.
Open for anyone who wants to make a motion of the
Well,
members of the
Jason's
commission.
got his hand up.
Oh, yes, you do. Thank you. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you. I just want to caution, this board, this commission has authority to extend, waivers, extensions under limited circumstances. I'm not sure that not following the law is within that authority. I don't think it's clear. Actually, I think it leans more towards it's clear that you don't have this authority to grant this extension, but I would leave that to legal. But I'd be careful of making such a motion before we have that clarification.
So I don't think we're trying to extend, at least in my opinion. I think we're gonna need to handle each one separately. The circumstances can all be different. And to help move this along, I'm gonna make a motion that we give a letter of caution to Mr. Harrington in this case, and with no fine, and, so it won't be reported. I mean, he did comply afterwards, but at least it would be a record. So my motion is to give Mr. Harrington a letter of caution.
A motion is on the floor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second by Norris. Discussion? Hearing none, I call the motion to a vote. Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions?
I'm going to abstain from this, Jerry, because
Okay,
I don't think we've thought this through enough to start with one person and then set a precedent. So I think we need to be consistent. So I'm going to abstain.
okay, John is abstaining. So we have, the ayes have it, the motion passes with an abstention by Mr. Galvin. Okay, thank you, Mr. Harrington. Now we will move to
Thank
number
you.
3. Yeah, have a good day. Number 3, equivalent CE approval. We have an Eric Michelle RCG 424 request 4 hours equivalent CE by Fair Housing and Fair Lending for appraisal scores taken with the New York chapter of the Appraisal Institute. As Mr. Michelle works for Cushman & Wakefield, as do I will recuse myself from this moment on number 3A. Debbie, I'll turn this over to you for the background. And is Mr. Michelle here? Guess not. Debbie, you're on mute.
Yeah, I don't see Mr. Michelle. Mr. Michelle sent in his equivalent request past the 90 days. In our regs, it says that you have to have your request in 90 days prior. And I know there's some flexibility with that perhaps, but that's why I put it on the agenda. I could not just, accept what he was, sending to me. So, and I sent you all the course material.
Well,
Okay,
this brings up the same thing then. I mean, I don't have any problems with the 4 hours for the course, but given that it was submitted late, it should probably get a letter of caution too.
Yeah, I would think so.
We could do that.
Anybody else?
Question, Vicky. Vicky, you have an opinion on this one?
I was looking at the statute as you guys were discussing this, because Jason had brought up, do you have the authority? And I do believe that you do have the authority, but,
I guess I'll make the motion to give a letter of caution, like we did for the last person.
And approve?
Yeah, we can accept the proof.
So I'll second that.
And approve what was it, 4 hours? Yeah, okay,
Approve the 4 hours but he gets a letter of caution.
okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? You abstained? All right, Jerry, you're back on.
Okay, for the record, make sure that I'm on there, that I abstain from the whole item, being that he works for the same firm I do.
Mhm.
Thank you. Well, now we'll go to 3B. John Musnoff, and I hope I didn't mispronounce that too much. RCG 1713, request total of 24 hours equivalent CE as follows. Okay, as we can see on our agenda, yeah, there are 4 items, with that. And do I have this correct? No, okay, that was someone else, so excuse me. Is Mr. Musnoff, are you available here? Are you with us this morning? I'm looking real quick on the line here. I do not see him here. So Debbie, is there any color you could add to us to this application of Mr. Musnoff at 1713?
The requests came in on, I'm just looking at my email on Tuesday, January 30th. So within the time frame for the CE, but since it was a conference, he didn't get the certificates in, or the request in rather, for approval for these conference hours, 90 days prior to the end of our CE cycle.
Okay. I do know over the years, this is just for information purposes, that we have approved people who've gone to the Princeton conference, the Metro New York chapter fall conference. In fact, over the years, I've been to a couple of each one of those. I don't know much about the New Jersey Department of Agriculture's appraisers conference. I cannot talk firsthand on that knowledge, and I was not at the 18th annual AI Fall Conference. So, but we have given hours if there was a 17th annual or 15th annual. That all being said, I'm just putting context, not trying to say yes, no, or anything, just for information purposes. So it's opened up to members of the commission. Any thoughts or questions or concerns? Hearing John, you're on. I see your mouth moving, but the mute is on.
Now, I was pulling up, looking at this stuff. Deb, I'm looking through the stuff that you sent, the attachments on this. And I
Yes.
don't recall, I just realized it was something there. I saw the AI stuff, which I didn't have an issue with. But the Department of Agriculture, the conference, the 3 hours, where is there something outlining what that was? Because I don't see anything that outlines what that was, just that he took it. Is that
Let me see.
oh, that's
So you're looking at the email that I sent you, January 31st, 9:03 a.m.?
yeah, and the only thing that's attached for the 3 hour appraisal conference, 3 hour, when I open that up anyway, all I'm
Mhm.
seeing is that the the request for continuing education form. I don't see anything that anything showing what was taught at this conference, as opposed to the AI ones, which break out
I gotcha.
the hours and what they
Okay.
did and who
So
was
you just
talking.
have you just have the certificate. It's kind of like it looks like a photograph of a certificate.
So I'm willing to make a motion that, just a suggestion here, that we accept John Mushniff's hours under the condition that Debbie reviews the 3 hour class and that it has sufficient appraisal education included in it.
That's the agricultural one, John?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Discussion? Hearing none, vote ayes for the motion on the table?
Aye. Now,
Nays?
Excuse me,
Yes.
I just found, it is there, John. It's in the email that I sent you. It is the 2022 SADC conference agenda. Is that
oh,
what you're
that's what
looking
I
for?
opened it up and it just looked like a letter.
Yeah, it's an agenda.
Okay,
You may
let's
want,
back off. John, do you want to pull back your motion for the moment?
Yeah,
We
I
have
do
a
want to pull
motion, a
back my
second.
motion then,
All right,
but
the motion
so,
has been pulled back. Okay.
question then is, did these hours all come in after the date? So does he get a letter of caution? Should he get a letter of caution too?
no, well, yes. The hours came in prior to January 31st. But the requests came in less than 90 days from the end of the due date.
So now we're approving it. So I think we have to be consistent. We have to, the motion then I think should be that we approve John Musno's hours as presented, but he also receive a letter of caution for submitting them after the due date.
Correct.
That's your motion, John?
I
Your
think that's
revised motion?
It's my revised motion, yes.
Okay. Do I get a second to the motion on the table? Second call for a second.
Okay, okay, I'll do it.
Okay, Sean, a
Donna beat me.
second. Okay, discussion? Hearing none. Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right, that passes for Mr. Mushnif and under old business 3B. 3C, Jeffrey Davis, RCG 1321, request equivalent CE for New York Appraisal Institute course titled Residential and Commercial Trends Seminar for 7 hours on February 24th, 2023. Is Mr. Davis with us this morning? I'm looking through I do not see him here. Okay, Debbie, is there any color that you would like to put forth on here?
I'm just looking at the email and he got me the information with his request on January 25th. So yeah, January 25th at 1:27, he wrote, I'm seeking equivalent education for this non-approved Connecticut course. So again, the course, he completed the course on February 24th of 23, but he didn't send the request in 90
Ooh.
days prior to the end.
Okay. Any comments or thoughts by members of the commission? Hearing none, can I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we accept we grant the 7 hours, but also the letter of caution similar to what we did for the previous one.
Okay. Do I get a second for the
Second.
motion on the floor? We have a second by John. Comments or discussion?
And we do approve this class or whatever he took normally, right?
Actually, a good looking class.
Just wanna
Sean,
make
if it had been, if they had put it in for approval, we would have approved it, in my
sure.
opinion.
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Yep. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Ayes?
Aye.
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 Nays? Abstentions? It passes for Mr. Davis. Under 3D is in David, Peter Kustanov, and I apologize for mispronouncing it, RCG 1582, requests equivalent CE for attending the 17th Annual Meadowlands Conference organized the New Jersey chapter of the Appraisal Institute for 7 hours on May 4th, 2023. Is, I'm looking to see if he is with us. I do not see him
I am,
on the,
sir.
okay, I do not see it here. I'm sorry. Please,
No,
welcome,
I am.
welcome.
Yes, I am. Hi, how are
Can
you?
you please, for the record, please, can you give your name, spelling of your last name, and the address of your business?
Peter Kuznetsov, Kuznetsov, 105 Oceana Drive East, Brooklyn, New York, 11235. That is my home office.
Thank you, sir. And you are requesting CE for attending the 17th Annual Meadowlands Conference from the New Jersey chapter. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay. And so for the record, for members of the commission who I know one is driving right now, this is different than any of the 4 other ones that Mr. Musnoff had requested previously, even though a couple of those were from the New Jersey chapter and so forth, just to make that clear. This is a separate conference that was attended. Debbie, is there anything you want to add or give us background here?
This request came in on February 21st. He attended the conference on May 4th of 23, but his request came in February 21st of 24, which is less than 90 days from the due date, the
Okay.
CE due date.
Sir, the floor is yours if you would like to say anything or address the commission on this matter.
Sure, thank you. Well, the reason of submitting the request in February was the same reason as you described in the first item of this meeting. I was simply unaware of change in due date. So when I became aware, I took the law class immediately, and that's where I learned the new rule and contacted Debbie with this request. So yes, it did happen after January 31st, but the reason being just, was not aware of the new rules.
Okay, sir. Sir, may I ask a quick question? With these 7 hours, will you have met the 28 hours for continuing education?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions from members of the commission or staff to Mr. And I'm sorry to mispronounce your name, sir. I apologize. Okay. Are there any other questions?
That was all right. No, sir.
Okay. For nothing from the members of the commission. Is there any motion anyone on the commission would like to make then?
Well, I guess I can make a motion that we accept Peter. I'm going to take a shot at this. Kuznetsov for 7 hours, but because it's Debbie, correct me if I'm wrong, it's after, so therefore also receive a letter of caution.
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Sean is a second. Discussion. Hearing none. Vote ayes.
Aye.
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 Nays. Abstentions. That passes. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, we
Thank
have
you.
already.
I just had, if I may, just one question. I know at least one of my colleagues who is in the same boat with me. I don't think he contacted Debbie. I don't. He's definitely not here. And I'm sure there will be others who attended the same conference.
Because, sir, because
get,
because your conference, the New Jersey chapter, did not apply for for lack of a better phrase, a blanket for the entire conference or course to the commission beforehand. Each one has to be done individually, like what you have done here
Understood.
today. Okay?
Understood. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Have a good day. Thank you.
And
We
at this
have-
point, I can just go online and renew my I can renew my license today.
Debbie?
If you have all of, yes, you may. If you got your renewal notice with the PIN,
I did.
okay, yeah, go online and do it. You can do your renewal through the fast track. I believe it's
Thank you.
on the left side there. It'll give you instructions.
Will do. Thank you.
Very
Okay.
good. Have a good day. Now we're under new business.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Before we move on to this, Jackie had a quick question regarding an economist. Jackie, are you there?
I am, Debbie. Just to circle back with regarding looking for an appraiser to be part of a continuing ed program. You know, I understand your reasoning, but we've had like economists come in and give a 2-hour presentation. No appraiser is on that panel. And I believe, and I'm not sure, Peter Christensen does a liability program for appraisers, and I don't think he's an appraiser either. So I just wanted to give you those two pieces of information for your consideration when discussing that matter at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And then I guess I just have one comment about all the ones that weren't here for this. They're gonna be a little surprised when they see that letter of caution with it. Because you reach out to them, right, Deb?
Yes, the letter of caution, I do believe, says that this is not discipline and it's not reported. But it goes in their file for future reference. So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we move to new business? Deb, you're okay?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We move to new business. Zachary Stockmall, RCR applicant, sample review and interview supervisor, Mr. Todd Stockmall. Are they both with us? I know they've been here right from the get-go. And the gentlemen, thank you very much for both being patient, and your turn is up. And for the record, please, we'll start with you, Zachary. Can you give your name, spelling of your last name, and your address of employment, and then your supervisor will do exactly the same for the record. So go ahead.
All right, Zachary Stockmal, Stockmal, and it is 2 Snowberry Lane, Shelton, Connecticut.
Very good. And your sponsor?
Yes, it's Todd Stockmal, Stockmal, and it's 2 Snowberry Lane, Shelton, Connecticut.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen. So we are here, and Debbie, I will give you so you can set the table for us.
All righty. Well, Zach is applying for his RCR license. He would like to take the test. I forwarded all of the information to you previously. His sample reports, they were sent to you on February 28th at 5:30. So right now, we're just looking at a review of his sample reports and hopefully approval and permission to take the PSI test.
Very good. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Stockmall, and both Mr. Stockmalls. You have sent these components here. This is, we review your work. We're going to be asking questions, maybe making suggestions and so forth from members of the commission. You have the reports in front of you that you sent to the members of the commission, or you submitted in, it got disseminated to members here of the commission. Do you have those in front of you, Mr. Stockmall, Zachary?
Yes.
Okay. Before I open up, I'm just gonna ask 3 quick questions, and that's all I'm gonna say, and turn it over to other members of the commission who may have more. I would like you to bring up, please, the property on Daniels Farm Road in Trumbull.
All right,
You tell me when you're ready, sir.
I'm ready.
Okay. I noticed on there that you came to a depreciated, this is a fair representation of your work?
Yes, I had my supervisor help me a little bit with this report since it wasn't a
Okay.
typical home, but yeah, I did about like 75% of the report.
So, very good. So 75% or thereabouts, this represents your work. Very good. On the page within the cost approach, you use a depreciated number of 238,576. How did you arrive at that, and what did that include?
1 second, let me get there. Sorry, I just dropped all my papers.
No, it happens. Just take a deep breath. It's okay.
Where is this? So what was your question? Sorry.
Yeah, in the cost approach section of your report,
Yep.
you have a depreciated value of $238,576.
Yes.
Okay. How was that arrived at? What did that include?
Included the effective age,
Okay.
being 10 years old. Can't find it for some reason, this page. Yeah, can't find the page.
That's okay. Take a deep breath. It's okay. All right. When you found it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're asking how I got to the depreciated?
Yes. What's comprising of that $238,576?
It was we estimated the remaining economic life to be 60 years because the average typical home is about 70 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the home's in good condition. So if we just valued it as the effective age is 10 years old, and that's how we came to that number.
Okay. And are we saying that includes all depreciation, both physical, functional, and external or economic, depending on which textbook you took the class from?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. My next question is really in your sales comparison approach of the previous page.
Yep.
You have the 3 sales there, and I know later in your addenda you have a listing. That's very nice to see. I noticed that the comparable 1 and comparable 2 comparable 1 and comparable 3 are in Trumbull like the subject, but comparable 2 is in Monroe. And I also noticed that there was no location adjustment. Being different municipalities, what was the thinking behind no adjustment for location?
No location adjustment. We don't typically adjust for that, but the reason why we did the Monroe is because since the home is so atypical and there wasn't many homes in that price range in Trumbull, so I had to reach out to neighboring towns, and it had similar market value, that Monroe home. So we thought it was good to include that into the report.
Okay, so you had to, because it was such an oddball or
Yeah,
atypical.
Yeah, it was hard.
I like your term better than mine. Okay, therefore you had to go outside the parameters. Okay.
Yes.
I noticed then when you came to your reconciliation, you put all the reliance on the sales comparison approach. Am I correct with that?
Yes.
Okay. And when I looked at here, your cost approach value was higher than what you had for your sales comparison approach value. Was there a highest and best use issue here, or is there anything that you can explain about that?
Not, no, just, it was just given the most weight since it represents the attitudes of typical buyers and sellers. Just felt that the 1.45 was, good enough for the house. We thought that was a good value to give the house.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions. Other members of the commission, I turn it over. You may have other questions. Thank you for your time.
So if you don't mind, Jerry, I'll go next.
Yes, please.
All right, so I'm on the same report, and I do have some concerns with this report. As Jerry mentioned, being in another town, there should have been some kind of location adjustment. I'm concerned you just said that you went to another town because you were something else in the same price range.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You went to Monroe because you were looking for something else in the same price range, was your comment.
No, just like similar market value, similar like GLA and lot size and all like that. There wasn't really much around in the area of Trumbull to compare that subject to. We had to find another large home for a secondary opinion to give it a value.
What is you didn't find a comp larger. Is there a comp larger in either town? You didn't bracket your living area.
No.
What was the highest square footage out of those two towns? You have your work file with you?
The highest square footage, we just had to.
I believe it was comp 2, was the highest square footage.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we had to go to a different town. Trumbull and Monroe are fairly similar market value.
Did you do any analysis to that to compare values of similar homes to other similar homes? Do you have that record?
Based on experience, yes. We live right next door to this area. Yes, we have a lot of data that in Trumbull, Monroe, certain parts of even Shelton, with the Huntington Park, Shelton is very similar in market value.
I know people that live in Monroe that probably would disagree with that.
I'm not so sure about that. It depends on the tax base, so I'm not sure about that. Go ahead.
On this comp, you didn't take off for age, where you had something 35 years younger, you valued, took a difference, but it was 32 years older and you didn't take any adjustment for age where you did like in comp 1.
Yes. Which 41? Well, yeah, because we feel as if, oh, you're saying compare 102 for Monroe. We didn't adjust for that.
No, I'm just talking about the age of the property.
Yes.
On comp 1, you adjusted. Comp 2, you did not.
Yes, because the effective age was similar. For that, the comp 1 was much newer, and we felt as if newer homes have a different build quality, so we gave some value for that, or took away some value for that.
Wouldn't that be in the quality then, if you're talking about the quality?
Just all in.
You said better quality.
Yeah, I mean, just the effective age. I didn't mean to say.
And you did an effective age on each one of these. What was the effective age for comp 2?
Comp 2? We felt it was similar to the subject effective age, so we didn't make an adjustment for that.
Well, Jerry brought up your cost approach, and I looked at all your cost approaches across all these reports, and there seems to be some issues with your values in your cost approach, because like 117 Central Avenue in Waterbury, you have a site value of $10,000. I don't know where you can buy a house or get a building lot for $10,000. On the Chopsy Hill one in Bridgeport, you have $200,000 for a site value.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the one we were just discussing on Daniel Farms, you only have $100,000 for a building lot. Those are just not even reasonable. How do you determine your site value? Because they're just not realistic.
Yes, well, the Waterbury one, I didn't have much opinion on that one because I'm not familiar with the FHA 203K, so I'm not too sure about that one, but the other ones, I guess the site value for the Trumbull could have been a little bit higher, but not, we feel like it was pretty relevant, but that was a good value to give.
You realize that most of the time in lots of these values is where they're located. That's where the values are coming from.
Yes, it's relevant
And so-
to the town that the subject is in.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the cost approach, how do you determine each one? You said, I don't know on one of them. You should know. You're the one that did it.
Well, there was no, for the Waterbury job, there was not really any vacant lots in Waterbury to really compare it to. So that was more so just an opinion based off factual.
So do you think a building lot in Waterbury is worth $10,000? That's what you're trying to tell me.
I believe it is more. It was hard to, that was a very tough job for me, to be honest. I needed guidance on that report compared to the other ones.
Yeah, we didn't have any vacant land sales in Waterbury. As you probably know, in the urban areas, it's a little more challenging to get opinion of site value if you don't have vacant lot sales. Bridgeport and Waterbury are two of the hardest to get an accurate vacant lot sales.
So how are you determining it?
Well, we use it to depreciate cost of the improvements. We've tried to figure out the typical average sale price for the neighborhood that we're working on, usually within a half a mile to 1 mile radius. And we basically subtracted the depreciated site, or we depreciated improvements from the average sale price for this type of home. And we come up with an estimated site value. I think that's the best you can do if you don't have any vacant lot sales to work with.
Well, you can do a land abstraction. You could do that.
We can do what?
You could do land abstraction to get your values.
But that's basically what I said, isn't it? A land abstraction?
No, you said you took your average house value.
Well, the
You should be looking at
depreciated value
sales
of the
and
improvements.
what they sold for, and then when you have a good depreciation off of them, you can figure out what that land is worth. It's not quite the same thing. And then, so looking at all your, even on the Daniel Farms, you gave site improvements. Is that driveway considered a site improvement? Because you're giving $45,000 to one of your comps just for the adjustment. So I'm not very impressed with these cost approach. I'm not sure if you really understand how to do those. And then my last comment is that all your comps, all your appraisals, except for the annual farms, say you treat all the comps equally.
Yes.
There should always be something better than the one or the other. You should have, and you did a Daniel's farm only because it was out of town, but all the other ones you say, I treated them all equally.
Yes.
There's always a better comp. One of them, I put the most weight on comp 1 or comp 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. To have 3 comps exactly the same all the time is very difficult. And then to do it in every single report is just, I can't believe that.
It just so happened that you picked reports where they were all given equal weight. I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. We thought each sale were equal and similar and didn't think one was stronger than the other, and they're all in the same neighborhood. So that's the reason why we gave them equal weight for the ones you're referring to.
Yeah, we didn't think that any one was that much greater. The ones that the reports that you chose, we didn't think any one comp on those reports were anything that much greater than the other comps. Traditionally, we do that. We do so greatest sales, greatest weight sale number 1 or number 2 or number 3, secondary to whatever.
But in this particular case, we didn't think anything stood out that said we had to make a statement saying that
Well,
this
yeah,
sale is greater than another one. It was
you could
nothing that
even
really
use
stood out to us.
time. You can
I'm sorry?
even use time, right?
Well,
One
I didn't hear-
sale's closer than the other to the report date. 349, one of the sales is 6 months later than the other. The
Well,
other one's 6 months after that one. Your
which
gross
report are you
adjustments
talking about,
are
Shawna?
one of 349 Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln now, okay.
Comp 3 has 15% adjustments compared to comp 1 that only has a 4.9% gross adjustments. Certainly it appears that comp 1 is more compatible than comp 3, but you say I gave all 3 equal weight. And and again, with the site value, you have $125,000. I live in Cheshire. That's just not gonna happen. I don't know where you're getting these land values from. That's for sure.
Well, that was also done 2 years ago, Shawna, the one in Cheshire.
I still couldn't buy a lot then in Cheshire. And there are vacant land sales in Cheshire. So I don't think I'm ready to be able to approve these at this point. So that's just my opinion. Anybody else?
Other members of the commission, do you have any questions on Mr. Stockmall's reports?
I don't know that I have any questions because I think Shauna covered most of what I would have asked, but I had noticed the land values and the cost approach, and I planned on asking similar questions to what Shauna has.
Okay.
And I'm in line with what Shauna said. I mean, I just looked at Waterbury here, and there's been 19 sales of RM zoned land since 2020 in Waterbury. So, I mean, I appraise in that market on a regular basis on commercial, and I know there's land sales out there, so. Nothing.
Okay. All right, Maria or Norris, any thoughts, comments? Guess not. Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion
I'll get
or
a
any?
motion. I'll make a motion that Mr. Stockmall comes back in 3 months and provides 3 new samples. And they all have to have cost.
Okay. A motion is on the table. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Discussion?
No, I just want to say that, those samples that you come back to us with, they do not have to be exactly what you submit to a client. They can be actually addressed to us and enhanced so that you show us that you understand the appraisal process. Remember, standard 1, I repeat this all the time, standard 1 is the appraisal process. Standard 2 is communicating the appraisal process, and that's what we're trying to convey here. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments by with members of the commission? Hearing none, I will call the motion to a vote. Ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
nays, abstentions. Mr. Stockmall, we thank you, both gentlemen coming in here today. We'll look at you in 3 months. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so you want us to focus on the cost approach and predominantly the site value. You have no problem how we arrive at the depreciated value of the improvements, right?
No, my question was, Mr. Todd Stockmall, I'm sorry, with
Yeah.
2 Stockmalls here. My question was just understanding, I just wanted to know the understanding, what your thought process was. That was my end of the question on the depreciated side of the fence here. That's where I was coming from.
Is there any question about the sales comparison approach, how we arrived at the final value? Is there any questions about that? Except for the equal weight or greater weight to one particular sale. Sean had a problem with the equal weight statement. Is any other questions that we have to focus on regarding the sales comparison approach?
Was there anything from members of the commission on that, on Mr. Todd Stockmall's question?
Well, I would always make sure you're just picking the best comps. I mean, whatever you submit, I'm gonna go look and see, do I find a better comp? Does it bracket the sales? Does the, do the adjustments? Where do you get the land any adjustments? You have to be able to justify whatever it is.
Well, we use Spark for appraisers. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. We use Spark, Synapse by Spark. That gives us a range of adjustments for GLA, bedroom count, bathroom count, lot size. So we do plug a farm list of comps that we get from the MLS that are potential comps. We plug that into Spark, and it does give us a range. Now, it's not perfect. Nothing like that is perfect, but it gives us a range of what the adjustment should be. Then we use our professional expertise to come down with a specific adjustment. So that's why I asked, did you have any issues with the sales comparison approach? We do bracket, I believe all 5 of these are bracketed. I mean,
The Trumbull one wasn't bracketed, but and you only had 3 comps, so I would be concerned that if you have to go out of town too, maybe you should add another one there. But
well,
again, until I see the samples, I have to see what you got.
Yeah, that was a bear, to tell you the truth. There's a 6,600 square foot. I don't know if you saw the pictures on that thing. There's a 6,600 square foot home that the guy just built like 1,000 square foot barn with a
basketball court
inside. I mean,
Yeah.
that thing was a bear. But we couldn't find anything that's more than 6,600 square feet in Trumbull or Monroe or Huntington, Park, Shelton. You got to go to Fairfield, but we all know Fairfield is a totally different beast in relation to Trumbull. But yeah, we couldn't bracket that one. That was impossible to bracket.
So I just want to point out that this is Zachary's work. We're reviewing Zachary's work.
Well,
So Zachary should be the one doing the work 100% here, if you can, and conveying this work to us when you come in. So you should be able, Zachary, I know your sponsor's your sponsor, but your supervisor, but you should be the one who's answering these questions, supporting this data, and coming up with it, because you're the one we're determining if you should ready to take the test or not. Okay.
Yep. All right.
No, we understand. I just want to make sure what to focus on as his supervisor, and what your concerns are. And I think I know all your concerns, because it's up to me, right, to teach him the way it should be.
Very
Okay,
good.
I think we're all set.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And we'll look forward to seeing you. Let's see, this is March, April, May, June-ish, right? June, we will be, I just want to let you know, both Mr. Stockmills, that if things run, we meet in July. We typically do not meet in August. I just want to let you know that, how things go and so forth. And you say, oh, we can do it in August. We don't meet in August. Then we go from July typically then to September, just so for planning purposes. Okay?
Again, now, when should we submit the reports for you guys to review before the June meeting? How soon before the June meeting? So sometime in May, late May?
I would do it. Debbie, please. You're on mute, Debbie.
About that. Yes, before the end of May, the earlier the better, because at the end of May, you have the holiday there too, so
Okay.
maybe the 3rd week.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Have a good day, folks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, under new business number 2, Madeline Hall, RCR applicant, experience log review and sample selection.
Yes, she's not here.
Okay. Any issues or concerns on the log that was reviewed by members of the commission? Any sample selections want to be put forth? Is this any
I'm
members
sorry,
of
I
the
didn't see this one. What's the name?
Madeline Hall.
Madeline Hall?
It was emailed on.
Yeah, I found it. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
Deb, I have a question on this one. So she started in October 2022. Okay,
Mhm.
so we're talking a year and a few months here. And on the bottom of the log, it has written in Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, 5, 6, 1,501 hours. Did we write that in or they write that in?
Hold on, let me get it. Sorry, my computer is going screwy.
Welcome to the world. I'm on my fourth computer in 2.5 weeks.
Oh,
It has been an absolute nightmare, and I'm watching this one keep blinking at me, hoping that I can still stay connected. So,
I think I'm going to just pull up the one that I sent you. Might be easier. Yep, here it is. The experience log, and yeah, they wrote that. That's them. I did go through it and I added everything up though.
all right. So that was yours. To answer John's question, I see like 25 hours into one page, 40 hours, 39. That's your writing, Debbie?
No,
Oh, that's theirs.
that's
Okay.
their writing, but what I'm telling
Okay.
you is before I send you a log, I
Mhm.
add up all,
Fair enough. Okay.
not their totals. I go through each line and add it up.
Okay. Very good.
Mhm.
I was just wondering because I see those hours written there
Yeah.
on each page.
Mhm.
So usually we see a longer period of time when they submit, but if you take the fourth quarter, 340, that works out to about 28 hours, a little over almost 29 hours a week. So it's not unrealistic. That was
Yeah.
my concern. So I don't have any problem with the log.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to accept the log as presented, John?
I make a motion that we accept the log as presented as long as there's enough hours, right, Deb?
Yes,
Okay.
she has it by one.
Is there a second? Calling for a second.
I'll
Jen,
second.
thank you, Jen. Discussion on the log. Hearing none, can we vote aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays?
Aye.
Extensions. Okay, it is after 10:30. I do not believe Norris is with us, so we'll put that Norris is abstaining, okay?
Mhm.
Uh, then therefore it is approved. The log is approved. Sample selection, is someone wanted to jump into that and give those selections to Debbie? You want to do that later? Now? It is your choice.
I can go through and pick like 4 of these, but
You want to do that later, Shauna, when you get a chance, and then send
yeah,
them over to
I
Debbie?
I can email Debbie.
All right,
Okay.
that'd be fine. That would be
Right.
sufficient. Thank you very much. And if anybody else has a selection that you're near and dear to your heart you want to see, let Debbie know, okay? We'll do it that way. Very good. Thank you. All right, now we go to under new business number 3. Mr. Monk, MUNCK, RCG 1517, CE extension request. And as John alluded to before, he has using the continuing education hardship waiver extension request. And we all have copies of that. And is Mr. Monk with us?
I don't see him.
Okay, and I'm looking, nor do I. Okay. So he puts forth here, I would like to request an extension to fulfill my 28 hours of CE that was to be completed by January 31st of 2024. I had completed 25 hours of CE prior to that day and planned on taking the Connecticut law class at the end of January to fulfill all my hours. However, my father passed away suddenly on the 26th of January, and family matters became an immediate priority. I can provide proof if needed. I completed the Connecticut law course on February 16th and was going to upload all my certificates, but wanted to see if that was all right to do, as this last class was past the January 31st, 2024 deadline. Thank you sincerely, Lawrence Monk. Okay. Thoughts, concerns, questions?
I looked up the obituary. I make a motion that we accept this hardship waiver and that we give Mr. Lawrence Monk to upload his continuing education credits immediately.
We have a motion. Second? Calling for a second.
Second.
Maria has seconded it. Discussion? John, I completely agree. And are you insinuating that there is no letter of caution given here?
No letter of caution in this case, because this is
I'm with
different.
you.
This is
This
a
is
waiver of
exactly.
hardship.
Absolutely. I'm on it. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, motion on the floor, second. Ayes,
Aye.
nays, abstentions. I would just note that Norris probably put his extension because he is, not with us after the 10:30 timeframe. So very good. Thank you. All right, now we move into legal. The ASC audit results.
Hi, as we were told, we finally got our ASC 2023 audit results. Although the letter was penned in November, we did not receive it until much later, i.e. in January, once Debbie had gone on the website and found the information. Having said that, the final determination of the ASC results was that we had gotten the good, which is just one below excellent. So we were happy with that. Relative to the specific areas, of course, the areas that they look at are the statutes, the temporary practice, National Registry, the application process, reciprocity, education, and enforcement. The two areas which they had indicated that the state of Connecticut was not in compliance was temporary practice. I will say that the state of Connecticut, had indicated that there was a less than 5% compliance rate. That was the numbers that were presented to the ASC. I guess they're looking for 100% compliance, but and our state response on August 15th, the state reported that the licensing service unit had implemented a new automated report system, if you will, indicating that there are pending applications that prompts the director to follow up with the staff to ensure that the temporary practice applications are done in a timely manner. So we did respond to that at the time that notation or that observation was made. Relative to the National Registry, that was the second area in which the ASC did not believe that we were in compliance and had a noted an area of concern. The department had failed to pay its invoices in a timely manner, which is 45 calendar days after their invoice date. The department in its response has stated that we were caught up with our outstanding registry invoices and that we had undergone some training because there had been a change in staff, as we know, that now provides for a more timely response. So relative to that, we have complied. The next audit is in 2 years and well, 2 years, I guess 2 years from when they came. So we're looking forward to that or getting ready. Other than that, that's pretty much it. In terms of the other areas, we were found to be in compliance. So that's pretty much it. Our next review cycle, they say, is 2 years. So we're all set.
Questions by members of the commission to Vicky or anyone else on this? Just
So
want
all
to
that
say,
stuff is out of our control, right? It's out of Debbie's control. It's out of Vicky's control.
Well, the area, the temporary practice area, that's done by our licensing service unit. The National Registry is done by the Director of Investigations. But again, those areas have been, we say corrected, if you will. We were kind of surprised with the temporary practice because the I say compliance rate was just so low. I mean, I think it was 5 out of, I don't know, like 1,300 that were done. I mean, that's pretty good statistics. But again, they were looking for 100% compliance, so we have it. And the National Registry, like I said, in terms of that area, the process itself has been streamlined. There has been training for staff. We do have a follow-up. We have DocuSign in place now and some other measures that ensure that everything is done in a more timely and streamlined fashion. So I think we're okay with that. And I have to say there, just so you know, true, I don't know whose thing that's disturbing me, but the for transparency purposes, there has been a change in our department. Our supervisor, if you will, our immediate supervisor, my immediate supervisor, Ryan Burns is no longer here. We now have a new person. His name is Paul Gorowski. I did meet with him yesterday or Monday relative to our upcoming meeting to find out, where we are with the regulations. They say they are still under review, but they have been submitted. So that's where we are. I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Other than that, I think that's all that I have at this point in time relative to the ASC audit.
Very good. Any other questions? I want to applaud all of you who worked on this to get over the hump. Hopefully we have now COVID in the rearview mirror. All the things the hurdles one had to jump. Deb, you jumped right in the middle of, when we were doing all this here, and you learned by fire. Vicky, another outstanding job. So everybody involved, and I'm going to miss someone if I keep going names, and I'm going to offend someone that I didn't mention by name. So I apologize, but I just want to say, job well done. That we want to get excellent, but we knew there would be something, and this is what they found. So let's correct it. And obviously things are being done. And as what John said, some things are just out of our control, and you're doing the best you can. So thank you. And
it was
we'll
a
see
collaborative effort. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. You guys did everything you were trying to do. So job well done. Thank you. DCP investigations, where we got cases closed, cases open, cases like water, water, water.
Yeah, we have 2 cases that I closed. We have 17 that are open because we got a couple in. We have, and I'm not giving you like cases that you guys don't have jurisdiction over, such as timeshare complaints. So these are just appraisal matters. And we have 2 that I was intending to write up for a compliance meeting. Actually, 1 that I was supposed to write up for compliance meeting, but then I got a little delayed. So we bumped the compliance meeting to next month. And then I added 1 to that because it was a similar situation. I didn't report anybody to the National Registry. The cases the 2 I did close, 1 had a letter of caution, and 1 there were no violations found.
Okay. Any questions by members of the commission on
I do.
this stuff?
The ones I sent to you, Deb, I have never heard of them being closed, and that's now over a year. Are they still active?
They're still active, but they are part of a larger.
Okay, if they're still active.
They're still active. Yeah, they're not. No, they're not closed. Don't worry.
I know that usually they like them done within a year, right? Isn't that the typical?
Yes. However, this is a different situation, so
Yeah, I
you have to
understand.
approach. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. I just wondering because I haven't heard, so I just want to make sure it didn't get missed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Deb, you raised a question and in a statement, and I'm just going to follow up. So just for my knowledge, you said we don't deal with timeshares. Who does? Just for if there's a complaint on timeshare, where does that fall under? Never thought of it until you just
Right.
said it a moment ago.
No one, really. We don't have jurisdiction for timeshares. They have to be registered with Secretary of State. They have to have a registration with DCP. But as far as if somebody has a complaint, unless the application or the signatures took place in Connecticut, then we could do something. But
Mhm.
if somebody was on vacation and they went for a timeshare interview, you know, say in South Carolina or where have you, and decided to purchase a timeshare and then ran into a problem and they live in Connecticut, we don't have any jurisdiction over it. So the best we can do is just refer them to our counterparts in those states.
Okay. It was
I will
interesting.
say there is.
Go
I
ahead.
will say we do, as you know, there's only one timeshare in Connecticut. And as a result, you know, we just say to them, you know, the department has one timeshare and, you know, please contact your, the state in which the incident or transaction took place. One of the things that we did do was that we had one of our legal interns do a, I'll say, comparative analysis of each state to find out who the contact person was for each timeshare for each state, because states handle it differently. As a result of that, we do have a chart, if you will, and we have contact information for each state so that the information can be given to each individual complaint that comes in. Thank you.
Interesting. I learned something even all these years on the commission. It's something I never even broached my head on timeshares, and you just happened to mention that, and I learned something here. Good. Any other questions, folks? Anyone? All right. Many thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Continuing it, disciplinary report to National Registry. I think you already covered that.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And continuing ed report. That isn't that what we kind of discussed earlier
Yeah.
today? We
Yes,
opened it up. That was
Mhm.
probably the number one. Well, in my mind, it's the most talked about thing in the state right now, where we are with the continuing ed. So,
Exactly.
all right, we have a game plan. Well, we have an idea. Are you still uploading, or
It's
has it?
slowed down. I don't
Okay.
believe I uploaded anything this week.
Okay.
It's slowed down.
So again, I got to go to my notes here where you had it here. That's tremendous that you personally have had to upload over 50% of the
I'd like
963. That's tremendous. That's
no,
unbelievable.
I'd like to correct that. I didn't want to correct you
Oh,
when you were saying it before. No, I uploaded over 530 documents for a bit over 81, which is 10%
oh,
of our total that have been
okay.
uploaded. Yeah, so the
So
documents,
I'm sorry.
yeah, the
Okay, my
documents
bad.
were extensive because there's no
Yeah,
easy way to upload a
no,
document. You have to, you
I
know,
think
it's a
four. Yeah.
process. It
Mm-hmm.
takes forever, but
Okay.
mhm,
So my bad. I thought when I looked at that, when I heard the 530, my bad. Thank you for the correction.
mhm.
Okay. All right. Update on PSI exams.
Actually, yeah, John Mesner, had, he, had a, I don't know, I'm tongue tied for some reason. Um, we had a meeting with the PSI people. John Mesner had a contact and we found out, we had asked about auditing the meeting and, not the meeting, the, exam. And we found out that the Appraisal Foundation, who provides the tests to PSI, they audit them every 2 years on the odd year. So the next audit would be next year. I
Okay.
believe the contact said that they had their last audit last year in, I want to say June or July. So after our conversation, the contact had sent a letter up to the Appraisal Foundation people and asked that we be invited to the next audit of their tests. So that won't happen until next year, though.
Okay, all
But we
right.
have a foot in the door and we'll be able to see, what exactly is going on.
Well, that's important, and that's good. Questions by members of the commission on this topic. I know we had a discussion a couple months back, if my memory serves it correctly,
Well,
on,
at the last meeting, Jerry, we actually had somebody come in who was
okay,
complaining. There's a couple other issues. So just on the questions thing, along with Deb said, there is you know how the foundation puts out the Appraisal Talk podcast, and there is a podcast in there where they interview somebody who actually explains how they actually come up with the questions, how they test the questions, and everything. So I think that part of it's in control, and I don't think that's the issue. I think the issues that we're hearing is, one, this bathroom issue, the testing center itself. They only give them so many times to go to the bathroom, and the bathroom's on the other side of the building, so there's not enough time to go to the bathroom and get back. A couple people have mentioned that already, including my staff. And then the other question was, are they getting the right test? When they're signing up for the test, you have to sign up for the residential, the commercial, and the one, it sounds like two people so far have come before us. It said that they felt like they were taking a commercial test, not a residential test. And then the other issue was the location of the test and the timing of the test. They keep, for instance, Christina, who works for me, got approved by her experience credits. What was it? December, I think it was, and was given a March date. She can't take it until the end of March, the test. She has to wait that long to take the test. And they told her it's because it's not offered. So, so those are the kind of things that we're trying to find out about.
and rightfully so. Holy cow. Um, Two things are beyond red flags, John. One, that someone has to wait from December to March to, take exam in our state. I'm not, it's hard to believe. I believe what you're saying, you know what I mean? But it's just unfathomable that that's an issue. And that someone is given not once, but two people have been given the wrong exam. That's just,
Well, we don't know that if that's what they felt like they were taking the wrong exam. 'Cause when they
okay.
finally got the residential exam, it was totally different, easier to take. And I believe both of them, Deb, have passed that test, right? The two people
One
that
of
come
them still, no,
no.
no.
It's either case, it's just mind boggling.
It's
That's all
very
I got to
difficult.
say.
Mhm.
It's
And I
just,
did find out about the bathroom break. They're given 3 minutes, I believe, where the clock is paused. And if it's longer than that, the clock just starts and ticks down.
wow.
And then
Hmm.
also too, about the test questions, I was told that there is a spot after each question that they're able to write a comment about the question, that it doesn't, while they're writing the comment, it doesn't come off of the time allotted for the test. So I'm not sure if the people are, taking advantage of that little comment section or not.
Well, the key is that we got, as you said, we got a foot in the door here now to have those discussions. Like you said, next year. But I'm glad that I would like to think, because we've raised the questions here, that John, I'm sorry to hear that your person in your office has had to wait so doggone long. That's just, I guess that's mind-boggling to me. And I'm sure that person is not the only one. That's disturbing. That bothers me immensely. But okay. Any other
We
thoughts? I'm sorry.
we have one appraiser whose license expired. That is, well, it will expire. You gave him an extension until April 30th. And he failed it 3 times, failed the PSI exam 3 times. And he was finally able to get another exam, I want to say on the 18th. But again, they don't offer exams. He'll go basically anywhere, but they don't offer exams in Connecticut frequently, which is, I don't understand that, because it's a
A computer,
It's a computer-based exam and, they offer exams for real estate salespeople and brokers, and I'm sure they offer exams for, other types of licenses. So it seems it's their business model that unless they have a number of appraisers, that they're not going to make it available. I don't know why.
wow. Well, at least we're on top of this there. This is, the more we talk, the more I'm disturbed I'm getting.
Are we still looking into it, Deb? Are we still looking into these issues? Vicky?
I believe I'll follow up, but I believe the last communication I had with them, I believe the representative said that he was going to look into the bathroom. I know we did discuss the bathroom break because he told me that, you had like 3 minutes and then the clock started again. And I believe he was looking into the test, but I will send him an email and just see if he found anything out. And he's available for questions, so.
Thank you.
So I guess, so yes, I guess that answers the question. We are following up.
Thank you, Vicky.
Great. Okay, good. Course approvals that we have forth here. We have all have AQB and IDEC approvals unless otherwise noted. And, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them from AAL 1195 through APR 337. Any concerns or questions on any of these? I know I took AAL 1201 a year or two ago. It was an interesting course on historic preservation facades and easements and something like that. I have not seen the valuation of residential solar. I've taken other courses just for personal knowledge and with all the different CEs I've had to take, so I haven't taken that one. But are there any concerns or questions, or do we make a motion for that block from AAL 1195 through APR 337?
I make a motion that we accept that block from 1195 to APR 337.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Calling for, okay, Jen seconds. Discussions? Hearing none. Ayes?
Aye.
Nays? We'll put Norris as abstained here. Then that passes. Great. Then we have the two that no AQB or IDEC, and that's AAL 1197 and AAL 1198. The first one is Understanding Conservation Easement Valuation by American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. And the and 1198 is Market Area and Industry Analysis, again by the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers, and they're 8 hours each. Comments, concerns, accolades?
I read through both of these. I don't have any issues with them. I make a motion that we accept AAL 1197 and AAL 1198 for the 8 hours each.
Great. We have a motion by John, a second. I'm calling for a second. Calling for a second.
Second.
Okay, Shauna. Concerns, comments? No, hearing none. Aye.
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 Nays, abstentions. Well, no, Norris is abstained. Great, we're taking care of that. Then comments and concerns, any person presented today. I think Debbie said there was someone that wanted to address the commission at this time.
Yes, it's Miss, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say this name. Katarzyna, Miss Katarzyna. Are you there?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Thanks.
For the record, could you give us your name and the spelling of your last name and your business address?
Okay, it's Katarzyna, Katrzyna. Last name Krasniak, Krasniak. And I don't have a business. I'm just trying to obtain a license. So I have a question in regards of the education hours that I need to complete. Well, not education, but the hours with the supervisor. I have completed all the education, all the 200 hours that were required. And I've been having really hard time to find a sponsor that would actually work with me to get the log and the appraisals done. And I did approach many people, and unsuccessfully, I'm still where I am. And it's like, I would like to ask you as a commission, what are the other options? I know the Perea is available. Well, it looks like it's approved by state of Connecticut. But today, this morning, I've been watching this Zoom call, and I did see a potential appraiser that was having his his sponsor, and he was not able to teach him the values and how to evaluate properties. How would Perea be better than a physical person?
Great question. Are you
Perea,
residential or commercial?
pardon, I would like to do, as of now, residential.
John, go ahead, or
Well,
anyone. on the commission.
the Perea program, it's interesting because in the past week, since McKissick was going to be offering the Perea program, I don't know if you guys have been following this.
They are
but
offering it, yeah.
No, they backed out. They're no longer doing it. They announced they're
Okay.
not doing it. And I think it was primarily because, from what I read, it's not really in line with their business model of offering education. So that just only leaves one approved program, and that's with the Appraisal Institute. I think if you sign up for that program, we accepted it because there's been some criticism coming out about it now. And I think some of that criticism is just not being by people not really thinking, reading everything or understanding everything. So the Perea program, I think you should contact the Appraisal Institute, and I believe if you go on their website, and if you even reach out to Jackie here, Jackie Bouchain, who's a guest at the meeting, you can find out more information about it. So that's an option to consider. As far as, the market is slowing down, this comes up every time the market slows down. It's harder for provisionals to find someone to actually supervise them. But my suggestion is just to keep trying, just to keep reaching out and keep trying and keep calling other appraisers and, get a list of if somehow, and just keep going and until you come up with the experience. And anybody got any other ideas? I mean, there's other appraisers out there that are, I remember Linda Sepso. Remember Linda had one of her appraisers actually do an appraisal on her own house and some other houses, and she supervised them, and they did it at their own cost just to get going. So that might be an option, to find someone who's not, doesn't want to pay you, but you can go out and appraise just houses for family members, and then they review them for experience credits. That might get you started on the process and make it easier for someone to hire you because they've seen you've already done some work with somebody. So that's just a couple of suggestions I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I have spoken with Linda Sepso 2 years ago, since I've started all the classes and courses. And she did offer me the position, but then something had changed, and for some reason we've been back and forth, and she was not able to get me into the company she owns anymore. So I did approach several people, and they were all not interested. Appraisers that I spoke to, they had different, for some reason, they have to obtain a permission to be a sponsoring appraiser. They don't want to do that. I did offer to work for free. They're not interested, as they said, don't even approach me. The banks don't, well, in their field, the banks don't even ask me for provisional appraisal report. Is just how it is. And many of them said, just resign. There's basically give up, do something different. So I don't get why the circle is so closed, and how, I don't know, there's no other options. for people to get those hours to obtain their license. How many new licenses do you get? Like, I don't know, it's very difficult.
To be a
You,
supervisor. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Debbie. Go ahead.
I was going to say, to be a supervisor, they just have to be in good standing. They've had to have held their license, I believe, I want to say for 3 years previously in Connecticut, and they can only supervise 3 people at one time. So the other option too is perhaps write a letter. You can get a roster if you go online. I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link after the meeting.
Thank you.
But you can download a roster and it has addresses. It does not have telephone numbers. So that's where I say, send a letter out, pick a few, send a letter out. Before you send the letter out, go through the ones that, told you no previously. But that's what I would suggest. We don't keep a list of appraisers willing to supervise. And everybody goes through the same problem. It took me like very, very long time, like 21 years ago, it took me a very long time to find a supervisor. It's very frustrating. So we feel your pain. That's all I have to say.
Okay. So I will definitely do that. Thank you for your time. I wish there was another option. I'm just checking at the PERIA results. Like, even though if I did PERIA, I don't think those appraisals would reflect the values of real estate in Connecticut. Especially like you mentioned before, there's an area where the piece of land is literally, we have 2 towns, neighboring 2 towns, but the piece of land is valued totally differently. It's a totally different value. And I see the passing rate here is like slightly above 60% for PERIA for examination, which is really low. And I believe that reflects their whatever they are teaching with the questions on examination. We have different questions. I have no idea.
Thank
Well,
you.
the PIREA
Go ahead,
PIREA
John. No,
program
go
you got to research because it's different than the state tests, and they may have their grading process up, but but I would look into that, and then if you have questions on that, you can call on the side me or Jackie, or we can get you in touch with someone at the Appraisal Institute. You can probably answer those questions a little bit better.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for coming before us. This is, you may not have realized it, but you've opened up, you reemphasized a number of points and you have opened up even some more discussion. And feel free, when we have these online, to be online and keep us current of what's going on, because you are representing something we're trying to address. Okay. So I don't want you to just go off into Never Land. I want to know how it's moving forward. If you could do that for us. Okay.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it again.
Thank you for taking the time to come visit us. Have a good
Thank
day.
you. You too.
Bye. Is there anything else? Boy, does this bring it? This is real life. You know what we've been talking about, under this whole thing, boy, oh boy. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. Was there anything else that we need to discuss here?
I got a quick question. On the letter of caution, does it specifically state that it's because of education in this situation? The only reason why I'm bringing this up is in the back of my head, I'm wondering if when someone applies for E&O insurance, if they got to mention the letter of caution. I know when I just filled out my application, they asked to renew my E&O, they were asking me about disciplinary stuff and if you've been arrested or committed a felony. But I didn't see any. But if the letter of caution is not disciplinary.
It's not discipline.
It's not. It doesn't cross that line, John.
All right. Then the next question I have is, so if you're still uploading stuff, okay, and we're going to be issuing letters of caution to people, maybe we want to wait a month and think this through, but how do we, if you're uploading stuff that people gave you before the deadline to do, that's one thing. But if somebody's giving you something now in February or from February, they should be getting letters of caution too.
Correct. Because
So-
the letter of caution, from what I understand, and I'll go back and review the minutes, but from what I understand, there's two different issues. There's the issue of, they didn't upload their CE certificates in time, or they had trouble, or what have you. That's one separate thing. And I don't think the letter of caution is sent because of that. The letter of caution came about because they did not complete their CE on time. That's what I'm understanding.
Right, so are we gonna automatically send everybody a letter of caution who submits their stuff between now and then, or are they gonna have to come before us between January 30th, 31st, or February 1st and now? I mean, and or even April 30th. How are we gonna handle this? I don't think we've really addressed that yet. I mean, I think we can stick to the guns that we've always done, that after April 30th, there's a fine. That's a fact. But are we really, don't we have to make a motion for that, because the real date now has already been moved to January 31st, not April 30th?
Correct.
I think, John, there's a lot to what you're saying here, and this is my personal opinion. I would have been more hard-nosed about it until we've had such a tremendous number of glitches here of trying to upload things. That's my personal opinion. If you're going to be a professional, you have to meet deadlines. It's our job. It's my job responsible to be on top of things. Heck, I got 50 states, and, I don't like giving up every Saturday one Saturday a month. That's all I do. I'm in here taking care of those things. But your point is, it's not fair to those folks. They couldn't upload for whatever reasons. So
I can understand that
think your
people
point-
didn't upload. We give them a break. That I can understand.
Yes.
And they
Yep.
contacted Debbie, they made an effort, they get off the
Absolutely.
hook. But I'm
I'm
talking
with you.
about everybody else who's not coming along, the Fred Harringtons here, who are coming along and saying, hey, I didn't know. I mean, do we send another email blast out to everybody saying, hey, if you now have not submitted, if you have not submitted up your work, you submit it, and you will be getting a letter of caution? I mean, what are we going to do? Because somebody can, and if they come in after April and upload, they can easily say, hey, I didn't know, you gave everybody else a break and the deadline was January 31st. So that's an issue. And then the other gentleman who was on from New Jersey mentioned that he already got his notice to renew his license, but he didn't. So all these people are getting their notices, probably everybody, to renew their license, and might just be paying for it and then forgetting about the fact that they got to upload education. So
There's two questions on the notices.
I read it. I did it. I saw
Yes.
it. Did you get your continuing education done? Yes.
And when?
And when? And did you get to commit any felonies?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I've been just given this. My license has already been turned around, so your point's, well, how quick it can be, John,
So I think we need to make these decisions. I don't mind if we table it till the next meeting, but the next meeting now is April 15th. Yep. And how do we handle it? I mean, it's already March.
Well, John, I'll say this to answer one of your questions. I don't have an answer for the second one yet. And that is, if someone says, and they do it on May 4th, okay, picking a date, okay, well, you gave people other, letters of caution before that. Well, that was because of moving the April 30th date to the January 31st, okay? I think once you pass that 30th, that excuse evaporates, because that date was in place for 30 years, 27, however long we've had it. So I think we're okay. We're not being inconsistent on that question, in my opinion. The other one is a fair point that you're bringing forth here.
So I'm wondering if we should just make a motion now, solve it now. And the motion I'm thinking about is that we make a motion that anybody who submits their experience credits after April 30th is subject to the fines that have typically been administered in previous years. And anybody who submits their experience credits between February 1st and April 30th automatically gets what's the word? What's the letter?
Letter of caution.
Letter of caution. Letter of
Okay.
caution.
We have a motion on the table. Do I hear a second? Calling the second time for a second. Third, I'll second it. I'll second it to move forward here. Discussion here. Any discussion on this?
Should that letter of caution say no fine for the February 1st through April 30th?
I wouldn't go that route.
I don't know. The fine information does not need to be included because it's not
Yeah.
something that's going to be done. So why introduce
Okay.
that
Yeah.
concept if it's not in there? You're confusing the reader, if you will.
Well, I just have one question, and this is for John on this motion. I just want to circle it back where Debbie, you may know the answer. Vicky, you may know the answer. I don't know who else may be on, whoever. What is brokerage doing? How are they handling fines? Who sets the fines now? It used to be we, as this commission, would set the fines. Then it moved over to the commissioner's office sets the fine. I've watched it go back and forth after all these years. Who sets the fines? One. And two, because all these other licenses have been moved up by the state statute, so DCP is having to try to, cover this. Are we the only ones dealing with this, or what are you hearing within the office?
I can say this, I don't know what other boards or commissions are doing in terms of the fines. But what I can say is that this commission has the ability to, again, make a written request to ask that the fines be increased if they believe that that is something that the commission as a whole would like to do. If that is what you are wishing to do, you would need to put it in writing and it's submitted to the commissioner for review and consideration. That's how you have done it in the past. That's how it would continue to be done. I don't know what other commissions are doing at this time.
Thank you.
I think we should enter that letter and we could talk about that next month because it just infuriates me of the gentleman who came through 2 cycles ago and said that he took all his classes and we did the audit and he had taken none.
Yeah, we're on the same page, John. Any other discussion on the motion on the table here?
The only thing I have is, I'm not sure, do we really want to just do a blanket for this time frame here? Or do we really want to hear what each person has to say? I'm concerned about the blanket. I have no issues about the ones afterwards. Obviously, they have to have a fine.
Well, I hear what Sean is saying and I agree, but the thing is there's 200 and something of them. So out of those 200 and something, if any of them have a hardship, they can actually come before us with the hardship, just like Fred and Mr. Monk did. So I think they still have the option of coming and I don't want to use the word appeal because then everybody will appeal, but come before us. But I just think this 200 and something is going to be a lot of people coming before us in 1 month. We only got one more meeting. And I think too, the other reason why I'm presenting this is it's going to be harder for people to get classes. The law module and the use PAP is not an issue, but the law module may be a little harder for them to get. They may have to make arrangements to get that or whatever. So I think, I think we're giving them a little flexibility in a month and a half, 2 months now, right? April, well, I'm getting confused, month and a half to finish it up. But I think it just make it easier for all of us since there obviously is a glitch with the state, which is our responsibility. Am I off here?
No, I was hearing. Any other comments? Hearing none, then I'm going to call the excuse me. We have a Jackie or Ms. Bouchain would like to make a comment, please. I see a hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you all know that I pulled up the previous law module and there was a slide that stated that for the next CE cycle, all licensees will be required to submit 3 months prior to the renewal. So in that law module that was presented last cycle, there was a slide at the end of the program, what's trending and changing in Connecticut.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, here we are. You're right, John, on things there. We have a motion on the table. Any other comments on the motion here? Hearing so, I'll call here to a vote. Ayes. So before we vote, John, do you want to repeat your the motion so everyone's on we know what we're voting?
Yeah, I make a motion that anybody who submitted their education to Debbie before the deadline, who had trouble uploading it, even if it was a day or two after, Debbie can make that discretion, does not get a letter of caution. Anybody who submits their education from the February 1st to the April 30th gets a letter of caution. Anybody after April 30th gets fined.
Okay. Okay. Last thing for any comments or comments from the members of the commission. Hearing none, then we vote the motion here. Ayes.
Aye.
Aye.
2 ayes. Nays. Abstentions. So I heard John and I heard Jen. Shauna, I don't know how did you vote?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
there's 3 ayes. And Maria?
Aye.
Okay, so we have 4 ayes. And Norris is an abstention. Okay, so that passes. Okay.
I'm not recommending.
Right. There we go. I know there's background talk here. Is there any other things that we need to address? Hearing none, can I get a
I
motion?
have nothing, no.
Okay, can I have a motion to call them, call this great meeting to close?
Oh, okay, so moved.
Okay,
Second.
second, great, ayes?
Aye.
Ayes. Great.
Aye.
I believe we're in person next month. Are we correct on that?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay,
I will not be able to be attending. I'll be in the Dominican.
enjoy. Is this the first trip of the year?
Second,
Good for you. God bless you. Hang in there.
our son's getting married there.
Oh, great.
Oh,
All right, good.
nice.
Yay,
Congratulations.
Have a good one, and thank you. And staff, I know this has been a tough time here. You're doing a wonderful job. Hang in there. We knew it was coming. We knew it was a freight train coming at us, and you've done a wonderful job. So thank you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Congrats, Shauna. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.